Hi there, I'm Dr. Ball, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to annihilate this dreaded disease affecting some 37 million people, and that's just those diagnosed, not those walking around with diabetes and don't know it. Today I'm going to give you the tools to victory. But first, let me recap on what I said the last time about diabetes. Remember, it's the #1 cause of limb amputation, getting your legs chopped off and your toes and your feet. It's the #1 cause of blindness in those aged 20 to 75. It increases the risk of erectile dysfunction threefold, something Viagra won't fix. It also leads the world in kidney failure and subsequent being placed on dialysis, with hypertension being a close second. And I know you're tired of diabetes wreaking havoc in your life and the life of your loved ones. So here's the tools. Water, weights as in weight training, walks, weight as in body weight, weight as in patiently weight, and worship. So with regard to water, we should be drinking 2 to 3 liters per day. That's 4 to 6 standard size water bottles. That's what we should be drinking. And for the diabetic, all the more, to help flush out that excess glucose, keep those vessels patent and open, clean, if you will. Also, if you're drinking more water, that means you're drinking less sodas, carbonated beverages, and sugar-laden juices. So drink more water. Secondly, weights, as in resistant training. Studies have shown that inactivity or sedentary person will over time cause mitochondrial dysfunction or malfunction. They will also reduce in size. So a malfunctioning and smaller mitochondria leads to increased insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to increased glucose. So what does our doctor do? He'll write the script and he'll increase your insulin. The more insulin you have in your body also leads to something called lipogenesis, or increased fat on your body. So now you're 10 pounds heavier, but your glucose looks better for a while. And then you go back for your next visit, and now you find that he's going to have to increase the dose. And instead of taking Lantus 20 units twice a day, you're now up to 40. And so now with that higher insulin that you're having to have in your body, increases more lipogenesis or fat production. And so now you're 20 pounds heavier with better glucose levels for a moment. And the vicious cycle continues. But resistant training or weight training increases muscle mass, which will increase glucose uptake into the muscle, which means there's less in your bloodstream. It'll reactivate the mitochondria. In fact, via gene shifting, it will produce newer, larger, better mitochondria, which will decrease glucose resistance and subsequently decrease insulin resistance, which will subsequently decrease glucose levels. So lift weights or bands. Walking, #3. Walking, not too fast, but not too slow, somewhere between 2.5 and 3 miles an hour, will burn off white adipose tissue, WAT, as it's called in biochemistry. That's important because those with obesity and an abundance of white adipose tissue live with a chronic low-grade inflammatory process, as these white adipose cells constantly flood the bloodstream with cytokines or inflammatory chemicals that just put your body in a chronic inflammatory state. This in turn causes insulin resistance, and the insulin resistance will subsequently cause a rise in your sugar, and next thing you know, you're diabetic. But a nice, moderate walk frequently will decrease adipose tissue, specifically white adipose tissue, decrease your inflammatory markers, and decrease your insulin resistance, which would decrease your glucose. So not only do we need to drink more water, we need to lift weights or resistant training and walk. We also need to understand that these will cause weight loss, as in body weight. Not to focus so much on our body weight and get consumed with that and discouraged, but just the lifestyle changes that I aforementioned as a byproduct will cause the weight loss. Then we need to learn to wait. Wait to eat. In our Western culture, where we live in abundance, unlike some other countries, eating has become more pleasurable than it has become a necessity. And what I mean by that is, once upon a time when we didn't have abundance, food was used as fuel. And every now and then, if we were blessed, we were able to eat it as pleasure. Now we eat all the time for pleasure and less for fuel. Take a typical day off. You're not doing anything. You're laying around, binge watching TV. How much fuel do you need for that day? But yet we still may eat 3 meals that day. And your body will accommodate you and just convert it to stored energy, also known as fat. Did you know our stomach, our empty stomach, is only about the size of an energy shot, holding only about 50 cc's as its volume? But that same stomach can stretch to hold enough food as a gallon of milk. It can do that for you anytime you get ready. It won't stop you, it'll let you. So it's up to us to wait. Not only is waiting beneficial because we're taking in less, it drives down our insulin because our body doesn't have to secrete it to compensate for the rise in the glucose level. So in a fasting state, our insulin level drops, and low insulin causes lipolysis, or the cutting away of fat. High insulin causes lipogenesis, or the building up of fat. So you want to eat? Just wait on it. Take a little time to fast. Which brings me to the last thing, is worship. Because we can't fast from something without fasting towards something. The time you're taking and not eating is utter misery if all the time you're doing in that 12 hours of not eating is thinking about eating. Because now, when it's time to eat, you will overcompensate for those 12 hours where you didn't eat, and now you've filled your stomach up to stretch to a gallon of milk worth of food. What in the world did we fast for then? But if you fast from something, eating, and fast towards something, thinking of things on a more higher level, more spiritual, more reflective, more thankful, more gratitude for the life that you have, and the breath you still have in your lungs, and the blood you still have running through your veins, and reflect on the goodness bestowed upon you, and what can you do to expand that goodness? understanding that life is a gift given us, and what we do with our life is a gift given back. Worship. I'm here to tell you that I know you've been fed some good information, and I know it will work if you apply it.